Good evening, everyone. This is the Extra Mile for today, February 24th, 2022. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no fanfare today. There will be no upbeat, jovial style that you are used to us doing here during this program, as significant developments in the world, frankly, would make that response disrespectful. At 5 a.m. Ukraine time, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin authorized an illegal incursion into the country of Ukraine. Almost immediately, as the UN Security Council was meeting in an effort which would turn in vain to avoid violence, rockets, cruise missiles, and airstrikes destroyed military bases and airports around the country of Ukraine and many of its cities, including the capital, Kiev. Almost immediately after, ground forces of the Russian Federation military entered into Ukraine from three axes: the north, the south, and the east of the country. Since then, Ukrainian forces are defending their country valiantly. As of today, 3.5 thousand casualties were inflicted upon the Russians, and material losses were also inflicted in significant quantities for a loss of some 130 Ukrainian soldiers. Well, you may ask what this deplorable act has to do with the motorsports that we discuss here. Russia is an important facet of the Formula One World Championship. The father of one of the drivers, Nikita Mazepin, owns a major oil company in Russia. The Uralkali Oil Teams are a company, sponsors Haas Formula One, who today stripped the Uralkali colors from their cars and motor coaches in preparation for tomorrow's final day of testing in Barcelona. The country of Russia also hosts one of the pivotal rounds of the second half of the championship, the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi. To that end, two drivers, Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel, have pledged to not race in that event. And conversations about whether or not that event will continue are currently ongoing within the Formula One paddock. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 70 years, conflict has returned to the European continent. Currently, civilians are fleeing Kiev towards Poland and other safe harbors, while a full mobilization effort has been decreed in the country, and men ages 18 to 60 are leaving their wives, their children, and their other significant romantic partners to defend their country from an invader who seeks to topple their way of life, to bring back an ideal that died in flames 30 years ago. And today on this program, we will give updates on what is happening in Ukraine and discuss how this could affect not only the Formula One World Championship, but racing in general, given current developments. And we want to say that everyone here at the Extra Mile give our most sincere prayers to those in Ukraine and those currently fighting for the freedom of their country. We support you. We will do all we can to defend you, and may God bless you all. And with that, I will bring in my co-hosts, Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We will briefly go over the Daytona 500 and then get into our main topic of the day, fellas. We did see that Daytona 500 was won by Austin Cindric. The rookie wins at Daytona 500, giving Penske its first Daytona 500 win. And other than a few tires coming loose, the next-gen car performed admirably in its first test.
Yeah, it did great, honestly. The racing was great, and I just can't wait to see what more it can do. A couple of cars went in the air this weekend, last weekend, but due to the safety improvements of everything, those guys were completely safe, and I think the racing all around was really good too.
Yeah, I would agree with Michael on that. Seeing the next gen car for the first time that was not the Coliseum, it definitely put on a good show. And it was a pretty exciting race. Unfortunately, Alex Bowman was yet again taken out by somebody else's, mistake, which we can talk about. Brad Keselowski and how, um, how dangerous what he was doing on the track was on Sunday. We can talk about that till we're blue in the face if we're being honest with each other. And but yeah, I think it was a good showing for the next gen car, a bad showing for RFK.
Unfortunately, Brad Keselowski doing what he does best. And Larry, good evening. Our boss man there. He will be at the Wise Power 400 this Sunday in California. Happy to see California back on the schedule after the first 2 years. Unfortunately, we're not going to get into much of that tonight with what has happened in the world and how that's going to affect Formula One and racing in general. And my thoughts on the Daytona 500, unfortunately, were just, damn, can Bubba Wallace catch a break, please? Like, second time in a couple of years he's finished second. I think one day he's going to end up winning this race, as long as, the Toyota strategy can work out and they don't all get cleaned out in big wrecks.
Yeah, that's another thing. There was like you kind of just saw a bunch of good cars getting either taken out pretty early or like in the middle of the race. Like there was two pretty like major crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one that happened that Chris is mad about that took out Bowman, I think Byron, Denny Hamlin.
All the Toyotas, really.
Yeah, pretty much most of the Toyotas. I think at the end of the race, you had one Gibbs Toyota and two 2311 Toyotas that could pretty much race. And then the second race, I think that took out. Who did it take out again? I think Kyle Busch got involved. Kurt Busch got damaged from it. Like a couple of the faster cars were taken out in both the wrecks, and I think that kind of made it to that.
Mm-hmm.
Different teams got to do what they can do best. I feel bad for the number 62, to be honest with you, because during that race, I found out they only had one car, one employee, and they only ran the restrictor plate tracks. So to see that car get involved in a wreck, I was kind of devastated for them, because not only are they, I don't know if they're going to get that car fixed by Talladega, but they were in a wreck that they really were trying to avoid. So the racing was good, but I do think for teams trying to avoid, spending money and repairing these cars, I don't think they did that good of a job. Granted, it is Daytona.
Okay. You can see more racing from NASCAR this weekend in California. The Cup race will be at 3:30 on Sunday. Xfinity race will be on Saturday. Let me get a time for you for that race. as we will also have the new practice and qualifying method that I am not excited for, to be honest. The Production Alliance 300 will start at 5 p.m. There will be practice at noon and then qualifying at 12:30 for that race, and then practice at 2 and qualifying at 2:35 for the Cup Series. And I will say that I was excited to come and do this show after Sunday. We had seen a great Daytona 500. We've got IndyCar coming up. We had a new winner in the NHRA. We got to Wednesday. Everything's finished up. Getting ready for today. Getting ready to go to bed. Flip out the phone. Maybe see what was going on with what happened with Formula One testing and overreact to times, which that has already started. Mm-hmm. And got reports, unfortunately, that Russia had moved into border regions of Ukraine. And then as I kept scrolling, I saw that there were explosions around major cities, including the capital. And it became very, very clear at that point that something terrible had started and, in fact, was underway. And for the next 3 hours, I just sat there watching the news, stunned at what was developing. And it's hard to put into words what I was seeing. And it is still, I think now I've finally grasped it this morning, that there is a serious issue currently happening in Russia and Ukraine, and the situation for this first world problem that we're going to try to dissect here is, what exactly does this mean for the Formula One World Championship?
It means, honestly, that we're going to have to get rid of that race and have another race substituted. Well, that's what I think it should happen, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael, and I think that most of the people, hopefully all the people in the F1 community, agree with you there. And I just want to say hats off to Sebastian Vettel, who was the first one to speak out and say that he is not racing in Russia at the Russian GP. Obviously, Sebastian is just, when it comes to off the field or off the track stuff, he's a rock star. Like when we went to Saudi Arabia, he took a bunch of women go-karting because women aren't allowed to drive. And so I think that what we heard out of Sebastian Vettel today is not surprising to any of us. But still, kudos to him. Kudos to Max for saying that he's not going, that Russia shouldn't have a date. I was a little disappointed in Lando and Charles Leclerc for what they had said about it. But yeah, I don't think that we should be in Russia this year. And quite frankly, I think that it should be taken off the calendar permanently after this.
Same.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm looking at the Formula One website. I checked this last night. There was no listing for buying tickets for the Russian Grand Prix. Now, on the actual schedule, the Russian Grand Prix is here, but there is no link. There's a link here to purchase tickets on the web. There's a link to F1 tickets on the website from the Russian Grand Prix link, and it looks as of today, the Russian Grand Prix now appears again on that page. Now, on the mobile phone last night, the Russian Grand Prix did not appear, and I'm not sure if that was a glitch or a conscious decision, but as of now, the link to buy tickets for the race is back up.
Mm.
And we'll see whether or not that continues. Obviously, it's a long way before now until September, but I don't think there's a way. And Chris, I agree with you. Not only do I believe there's no way this race can be held this year, there is no way in hell you can take the F1 World Championship back to Russia when, as they have basically shown the rest of the world, we don't want to be a part of you. And
awesome.
Shown these are the lengths we are willing to go to isolate ourselves from the global community.
Apparently, Horner spoke out and said that he won't go either. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like Red Bull won't go to that race. And it sounds like Sebastian Vettel's not going to go, and probably Lance Stroll won't go. Just out of curiosity, has there ever been an issue where teams have said we won't go?
Not that I can think of.
And like actually boycott, like what if they do decide to go to Russia and you got 3 or 4 teams that refuse to go? What happens?
I don't think you can run the race. At least that's what I would say.
I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
I heard from somewhere that there's also a travel ban for Russians.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of sanctions being thrown around right now. That's another issue that Formula One is going to have to deal with. If they are not allowed to travel into Russia, they're not going to be able to have the race no matter what.
So, like, what is Mazepin going to be able to do?
Nothing.
He can't race?
No. So what's going to happen is they're going to deny travel to people who hold Russian passports. So if he was able to get a passport from a different country, then he could, but they're not going to accept passports. So he will not be able to travel. So even if, Haas wants to keep him in the car, he most likely would not be, he would not probably be allowed in the U.S.
Oh my God.
He probably won't be allowed in England. He'll probably be allowed in Germany. Well, we don't go to Germany, but.
Yeah. Another issue is going to be the money. We don't know if Mazepin's father is going to end up on this list of oligarchs that are going to get sanctioned.
It's an oil company, so he most definitely is going to get sanctioned.
Yeah, so if he ends up on that list, I don't know what any of their connection to Putin is, but if he's on that list to where he can't get any money, that's going to be a huge issue in financing Haas F1's operations this year, and it puts Gene Haas for the second time in a situation where he's got a sponsor that he can't get money out of. And I feel so sorry for Gene Haas, because outside of those first couple of years in F1, everything else has been crap with that team. And they don't deserve this. They really don't.
Yeah. Like this, I completely feel bad for them, because first of all, last year they couldn't get a single point. And we're used to hearing about Haas being up there. Well, when I say up there, I mean in the midfield, at least fighting.
Yeah.
But
I mean, a few years ago, I said Haas would be fighting for podiums. Like, they were on that track, and it's just falling apart.
As of right now, they should have at least a few podiums, but things have not gone their way, honestly. And the way the world is with F1, it's hard for certain teams to stay afloat.
Well, right now they should have a couple of podiums and a win.
Yeah. It's hard for F1 teams. If you want to know how hard it is, we almost lost Racing Point at one point.
Yep. So here's a statement. This was put out by Autosport last night or earlier this morning regarding the situation with the Russian Grand Prix. F1 is closely watching the very fluid developments like many others, and at this time have no further comment on the race scheduled for September. We will continue to monitor the situation very closely. So that is where they are at this point. And I understand waiting because it is only February. We don't know how long this will last, but I think you have to... You can't sports wash this, especially now. This is absolutely an invasion designed to destroy the sovereignty of Ukraine. That's it, and that's all. You cannot take the Formula One World Championship in there and try to act like everything's okay, because it's not. And we've talked about it the last couple of years. There's a bad reputation with Formula One going to racetracks where those countries have not that great human rights records. They've got to do something. They've got to stand up for something at some point. You can't spend the last couple of years talking about we race as one and then go to Saudi Arabia or go to China for that matter, or Russia or any other of those countries. Formula One has to take a stand at some point and decide we are going to honor our commitment to further diversity and inclusion in our sport. And if that means saying goodbye to a paycheck, well, you're going to have to say goodbye to that paycheck.
Honestly, because we can't really let these inhumane countries just get away with this and then go watch an F1 race that we pay money to go to or pay money to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So they honestly have to take a stand, Daryl, because I'm not gonna watch Russian GP if it happens. I'm gonna just be honest with you.
Yep. So Chris Medlin, 5 hours ago, this is on the Haas situation. The team has already dropped the branding in its media alert and refers to itself simply as Haas F1 Team rather than Eurocali Haas F1 Team as before. And Christopher sent me that statement. I'm going to read that for you now. This is on tomorrow's practice. Tomorrow's testing. Haas F1 Team will present its VF22 in a plain white livery minus Eurocali branding for the third and final day of track running at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia on Friday, 25th February. Nikita Mazepin will drive as planned to the morning session, with Mick Schumacher taking over in the afternoon. No further comment will be made at this time regarding team partner agreements. Now that sounds like they're trying to figure out what the money situation is, but the fact that they ripped the name off the motorhome, I don't think they're going to be sponsored by Eurocali any longer.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy because they just got the sponsorship too.
Yep. We'll get to our sponsor reads in a moment. We'll probably save those for the end. I don't think we'll be taking a commercial break this evening. So we'll just get into where we are with that situation in Ukraine. So we'll go over to Twitter now, and I've been locked on this pretty much all day. And what I will say is Ukraine is putting up a extremely stiff resistance, which is good to see. There are some individuals, actually a former boxing champion, Vladimir Klitschko, who's now the mayor of Kiev, capital city of Ukraine, has pledged to fight in the war with his brother. For our boxing fans there. There's a picture here of a Ukrainian they call them MPs over there, basically our version of congressmen walking the streets with an AK-47 as they've armed civilians there in Ukraine. It is currently late at night over there. And we are expecting to see, more attacks this morning or later on today. And Larry B says, I can't believe all this. Larry, we can't either. And I guess we can go into, at this point, similar, I guess, to 9/11, where were you when it happened? I was getting ready for bed, as I said at the top of the show. I wasn't even thinking about what was about to happen or what has happened now. I was checking Twitter, looking up some times for what was going on with Formula One, and all of a sudden, the reports are coming out that shelling and rocket attacks had started from Russia into Ukraine. And the first thing I heard about it was I saw on Twitter a CNN report that one of the reporters was doing a live shot when an explosion goes off close nearby to his position. That's when I said, okay, racing's going to have to go to the side right now. I need to see what's going on. And I clicked on the TV and I started going through Twitter, and you just see the videos. There was videos of multiple Russian MLRS multi-launch rocket systems firing rockets into Ukraine, and the sound of bombers flying overhead, firing cruise missiles. There was several videos of people just on the street, and a cruise missile screams over their head towards a target in Ukraine. And even today I saw a video of a fighter jet allegedly firing missiles into a house.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it really shocked me. And unfortunately, it kind of led into how we're doing this show today, because honestly, racing is the furthest thing to think about right now.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think the show would happen tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chris and I were talking, and we still wanted to come on and have a show. And if you're listening in the chat, we would love to hear your thoughts about the current situation as well, and just use this as a time to really get it out there and just speak about what we are feeling at this time and what we think is going to go on. So I've given a little bit of my piece. Chris, where were you when you heard all this was going on, and what were your thoughts at the time?
So I was actually in bed, just about to fall asleep. But I was just kind of scrolling Twitter, and then I don't know, I saw something that was like Russia's invading or something. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, whatever, probably someone just jumping the gun. And then I click over on trending, and boom, there it is. And I was like, oh. And that's when you texted me, and I was actually just looking this up when you were just talking. So you texted me last night at 10:36. It's begun. Russia's invading. Mm-hmm. And I said, yep, the world's gonna be a different place when we wake up tomorrow. And then 5 minutes later, I texted you guys. You may have seen earlier, but you can no longer buy tickets to the Russian GP. Rumors will go to Turkey. And yeah, I mean, and then after that, I was up for probably 2 hours just refreshing, and I should have went to bed because today sucked.
Same.
But it's not as bad as some people's today.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but it's one of those things that definitely, even though you kind of know it's coming, it catches you off guard, and it really messes with you, This is
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time that this type of thing has happened. You know, in the age of social media being as prevalent as it is. Obviously, the war on terror was at the beginning of social media, but now we are full in. Everybody's into social media, and so just watching how it's developed and how misinformation happens so quickly. Um, we all know it does, but it's crazy. And I mean, the other thing that you don't even think about is the fact that I saw on Twitter multiple times it said, like, please don't share Ukrainian troop movements.
Mm-hmm.
Please share Russian troop movements. And it's just one of those things where you don't even think about it. But yeah, I mean, social
That is
media is used in war.
that's something I didn't even think about until a person had posted that. We've never had to think about social media this way in terms of conflict. And yes, we've seen some, there have been videos of Syrian civil war going up, but the internet in Syria, as that war went on, deteriorated rapidly. So we were getting those videos, sometimes weeks, months after the fact. Most of Ukraine still has internet access as of today, as of this recording and in this live show. And we have just been getting live up to the minute updates of what's been going on. Something that even when we invaded Iraq in similar pretenses that were not that great, we didn't get updates like this. And it's jarring, and it kind of wakes you up to just how far we've gone technology-wise. Michael, where were you when all this kicked off?
I was helping a friend with a live stream,
Mm-hmm.
and then right as we get finished, I see what you texted in the group chat, and I immediately start panicking because I was hoping that this wasn't real. And I was just like,
Same.
okay, please tell me it's not real. He probably saw like misinformation or something like that. I go on Twitter and it's all real.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's actually happening. I couldn't sleep, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
because I was worried that this was gonna escalate. So I was looking at the news, everything. Just it's crazy.
I
And
did
then
find it hard to focus today.
yeah, and then
I really
I
did.
actually follow an artist on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and he's from the Ukraine, and he woke up to the sound of the bombs actually,
Jesus.
and then he's telling us all that like yeah he's scared and everything. He's I don't think he's made it out of the country yet. I think he's still like trapped in the little shelter that they have in there.
We may have to stay and fight now because they're not letting males 18 to 60 out because they've basically fully mobilized the country. But I do hope he does make it out of this.
Yeah,
I really do.
yeah, yeah, man. And then I think the worst part about it, I don't know if any of you guys go on like TikTok or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole mentality of TikTok as soon as Russia invaded just shifted.
Mm-hmm.
So I was seeing videos from people in their homes, hearing the air raid sirens go off, hearing, while seeing, there's actually a video of like choppers flying over the city with smoke in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is real, and I'm actually seeing these people go through it.
And sorry about that. I was trying to check some things on TikTok, but unfortunately, TikTok likes to autoplay sound. So if you heard any of that sound, I apologize. But
Yeah, and then like TikTok, If you go on TikTok now, it's literally just military videos
Mm-hmm.
and people making military memes that aren't, well, in my opinion, memes about war aren't funny at all.
Yeah. Pierre Gasly posted to his Instagram, Ukraine with the praying hands emoji, says, "I hope everybody can stay safe out there. Crazy to see this happening in 2022." And picture of a massive explosion that took place at the airport there in Kiev. That airport was the scene of one of the most critical battles of the early juncture of the war, where Russian Spetsnaz, which is their version of special forces, had actually taken the airport, and some sleuths had detected via flight radar, which is a free website where you can just track aircraft via their transponders. 18 Russian transport planes had taken off from Russia towards Ukraine and could have been at that airport within the hour, dropping troops. Now, the aircraft, the IL-76, is similar to our Globemaster here in the United States Air Force. They can move a massive amount of troops and equipment. If those planes had landed at that airport, this war would be over today. They would have been able to land maybe a division or more worth of troops right outside the city gates. But the Ukrainian 45th Spetsnaz Brigade led a daring raid to retake that airport, and as of today, it is back under Ukrainian hands, and the Russian special forces that held the airport have been routed. So what I can say through all of this and everything that we've been seeing, it has been a spirited defense by Ukraine the entire time.
Yeah, because their freedom is being heavily imposed on by Russia right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my biggest fear right now is, does all this escalate to a whole bigger conflict?
That is the question.
Yes. Eventually it does.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I was kind of watching around on Flight Radar today, and there is, between Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania, which border the Ukraine and Belarus, there have been a lot of military jets just like going up and down, just patrolling those borders. But have you guys heard of the Ghost of Kiev?
I just saw that now. I think that's a MiG-29. I saw the picture. Apparently has won significant aerial battles against Russian forces at this moment.
Yeah, and it's some of the pictures are really cool because you see his aircraft through the fog and smoke, and he's almost becoming
Urban legend,
almost like an urban legend, a folk hero, and kind of a rallying point for that whole country.
That's some Ace Combat stuff right there.
That's
Ironically, that's where I saw it. I saw it on the Ace Combat forum.
Oh yeah,
or on the Reddit. Sorry.
Yeah, that's some Ace Combat stuff right there.
Yeah, no.
They might have some inspiration for 8.
I guess this guy. I guess they're saying that he single-handedly took down 6 Russian pilots.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, really awesome.
What are they calling him again? I'm trying to look it up.
Ghost of Kiev.
Okay. Oh, I see a video here. Yeah, there's a couple of videos up on him, and I'm looking at Flight Radar. There are so many tanker aircraft that are over Romania and Hungary, and This is a serious situation.
Yeah,
That
everyone's on edge. Like something can pop off like really soon.
It will.
Like if Russia does something and it hits like a NATO anything, yeah, this could get real bad.
and that is why we've kind of steered the show like this, because this does put the international racing community in a bind. There are. I want to check this before I say something. There are Russian race car drivers that may not be able to compete now in international championships.
Yeah.
Belgium is already talking about Russian citizens are not welcome and are asking the EU to block visas. America may do the same. There may be drivers that will have their championships seasons canceled because of reasons not of their own. There may be Russian teams that, for example, can't make the 24 Hours of Le Mans later this summer. So this war is going to have repercussions on all sectors, including motorsports, where there could be money lost. S&P Racing is the first team off the top of my head that I can think of.
Yeah.
They compete in the World Endurance Championship, one of the better teams there. They have been affected by Russian sanctions in the past. This could come back to hurt them again.
Yeah, definitely.
It probably will. I don't think anybody is playing games here. I think this is a very serious thing. And I don't think this is going to be over in a month or two. I think this is going to be a multi-year event in terms of Russia.
Geez, Russian stocks have crashed more than 50%.
Yeah. Like I had texted you guys this morning. So I work in the agriculture industry, and Ukraine is the number one supplier of wheat to Europe. And this morning, one of our grain merchandisers, he buys and sells grain, came in, and he wasn't really aware of what was going on. And he came in and fired up his computer, and he's just like, holy crap. And I turned around and I was like, let me guess, the price of wheat is up. He goes, not only is it up, he goes, it's maxed out for the day. There's limits on how much grain fluctuation there can be in a 24-hour period. And by 7:30 this morning, it was maxed out. And then he turns around and goes, well, how did you know that wheat was going to be up so high? And I was like, you didn't listen to NPR or anything on your way in here, did you? And he goes, no. And I was like, dude, check the news. And then he checked it and he goes, oh. and look, oil's up to over $100 a barrel crude. There's going to be, the global economy is going to be affected by this.
Yeah, and that's going to affect our racing fuel prices.
Yeah. And I wasn't overly optimistic after hearing President Biden today. I wasn't very optimistic about what he had to say. I was a little more disappointed than anything that it was they were setting long-term sanctions. And so, in my opinion, and there's no fact behind this, so please don't come after us, but if Kiev or if Ukraine doesn't get some help on the ground, they do not have the manpower to outlast the Russian army. Yeah. And Ukraine will fall. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and that is if they don't get backup. And if I jump further down the theory, or the conspiracy theory, my guess is that there's some U.S. planes on the way with equipment that don't show up on any radar. They're not affiliated. They're not tracked, and they are dropping off equipment. They're doing airdrops in secure locations, and getting them some equipment, especially anti-air and anti-tank.
Well, that's been happening. That was happening even before. They were flying in javelins by the pallet load. And apparently those javelins have been extremely effective in dealing with Russian armor. I know there's been some British systems there as well.
But my guess is that there's some black ops stuff going on at night, like right now, and they're getting backup.
Yeah, there's stuff going on that we will never know about. Our kids will be reading about that declassified information. And I know this might feel like a downer episode. You may be thinking, looking for an escape, but we can't escape this, folks. We can't continue to put our heads in the sands and act like everything's okay. It's not okay.
It's really not.
And we've got to take stock of what's going on around us.
Shoot, I'm furious that people are putting their heads in the sand about this.
Well, Nikita Mazepin made some comments that we're not even going to read them because I'm just going to get angry. They asked him about the conflict. He's Russian. You figure out what he said. But
no, good.
Yeah, and Chris, you mentioned the oil prices. That could affect how much racing fuel costs as well.
It will affect it.
And it could also affect tires because, how rubber is made. And obviously oil for the engines. Those prices could go up. And they've already been feeling the pinch of costs when it comes to motorsports. Unfortunately, those costs are going to go higher. And it's really going to depend on how this all goes. And this was actually a message I was just looking for. It just popped up on Twitter. This is from Mark Gallagher. He is, he brings F1 to companies via P1 Insights. P1, and he's also a columnist for GP Racing Online. One of the reasons why a contract in Formula One can be relieved between stakeholders, which includes teams, drivers, and sponsors, war is listed as a reason for why they could cancel a contract. So if Formula One wished, they could cancel the Russian Grand Prix based on the current war going on in Ukraine.
They can.
Yep.
I wonder if they're going to do that. They should do that, but we'll have to see.
I think at this point they have to. It's just a matter of when they go official with it.
They don't have a choice. I mean, you've already got two of your top drivers saying we're not going to go. So what are you going to do? And I bet you the 7-time champion is thinking about not going either.
Oh, he wouldn't go.
So I'm seeing right now on Twitter that they're saying that the number of anti-war protesters arrested in Russia has now eclipsed 2,000.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's not all Russians that are bad. The people actually really don't want this.
There's one person who wants this in Russia, and it's none of the troops.
Soldiers don't want this.
Yep. So, boys, we do have to make some picks. We kind of forgot our Daytona picks, but...
Oh, that's a powerful photo right there. Yeah. Of the Haas removing the Uralkali stuff off the haulers.
Oh, the one that I sent you guys?
Yeah, that's tough right there.
So we got to make some picks here. We do have 2 races to pick. We've got Auto Club, and we also have IndyCar actually starts this week as well in St. Petersburg. I'm going to take future Andretti F1 Formula One driver Colton Herta to win at St. Pete. And I'm going to take Larson to start his reign of terror at Auto Club. Chris, who you got?
So for IndyCar, you know what? I'm going to go with both champs. How does that sound? Both of the 2021 champs for both races.
That would be
Larson and
Larson and Palou.
Yep.
For those of you scoring at home, Michael, who you got?
I'm feeling McLaren Arrows, so I'm gonna go with Pato Award for IndyCar. And Auto Club, I'm gonna say Stuart Haas gets their act together this year, so I'm gonna go with Kevin Harvick.
That's a bold choice.
It's a very bold choice, but I think they've got their act together. Hopefully, maybe, possibly.
So before we go,
I was just going to say this is the first race where we really are going to see what improvements came on this car. So it's anybody's race as far as I'm concerned.
I hope it's a good race. This is the one we've been looking forward to as far as how well this car will perform on the intermediates. I am very interested to see how it runs on Sunday.
Yeah. For all we know, Front Row Motorsports wins, and they have a dominant car. Unlikely, but possible.
Possibly. So we want to thank our fan of the month, Spuds Chat. He's a Rams fan living out in San Diego. Was a guest on 3 and Out throughout the playoffs. Want to thank him so much. Remember, folks, if you want to be a part of these shout-outs and get a bunch of different goodies, go to iesportsradio.com. Check out the website. You will find a link for the Patreon. It's got 5 different tiers, starting with a shout-out on all 32 of our shows for just $5 a month. And higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to the podcasting university, and a chance to be on the flagship show, The Defining Moment. We just want to thank all you fans for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And we also want to thank our sponsors, Background Check International. Remember, if you are trying to check out a new hire on, contact Kit Freeman and let him make that hiring process that much easier. And remember, this business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. So no stalking, ladies and gentlemen. Go over to bcint.com for more information, as well as Background Check International-BCI. And I know Larry B is going to be at the race. Larry, have fun. Send us some pictures from Auto Club. That's going to be a lot of fun to see those. And folks, you already know Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team have been a sponsor, a long-term sponsor here for IE Sports Radio. We want to thank them so much and wish them luck in their upcoming season. And folks, semi-pro sports athletes, they pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, between trying to get filmed for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. And they've got one common theme, and that's playing for the love of the game. So if you love your sport, you want to give it another try, check out some semi-pro teams in your area. You may rekindle that love and find the second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Check them out on social media at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and Facebook at Southern California Warriors. And of course, I'm at DK Jr. 12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Michael is at Michael _Wart 25. If you want to get at us on Twitter. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this serious, somber episode of The Extra Mile. We'll try to be back to normal next week. And, folks, keep the people of Ukraine in your prayers this evening. They are fighting for their very lives. Their very way of life is under threat by a country that wishes to do nothing but kill, steal, and destroy. And before we go, I want to send a Godspeed to the 13 brave souls of Serpent Island, Ukrainian Marines and border guards that faced down the Russian Navy and held out for an entire day. When asked to surrender, they gave a loud and defiant expletive to the Russian warship that would shell the island. And between artillery and aviation attacks, those 13 would perish. But they will forever be remembered as heroes of their country and heroes of freedom. Because when evil steps up, good men will step in to defend freedom. And to the families of those 13 men, we send our condolences. And to those 13, may you rest in everlasting slumber. And with that, we will say good evening for the extra mile for this week. We will see you at the next green flag. Good night. And as we go out, we will have a moment of silence for those that have been lost in the war in Ukraine. Good night, everyone.